Welcome everyone, I'm Jolly, and in this video I'll be showing you all collectibles in Little Nightmares. We'll be finding every lantern, candle, gnome and statue across all 5 areas of the game. So if you're trying to get 100% completion or just missing a few collectibles, this walkthrough will show you every location step by step. We begin the game waking up on the top of the suitcase at the start of Little Nightmares. As we move into the first area and head towards the next room, we can already find our first lantern right here. After lighting the lantern, we open the hatch and continue into the next section. Crawling through the ventilation shaft until we reach the next area. After climbing the stairs, head left into the small nook where you'll find the first statue. Pick it up and smash it to collect it. After that, crawl underneath the wood boards and continue into the next room. There's nothing important here, so climb onto the bed and enter the vent to move forward. In this room, there's a chair in the middle that we need to drag over to the door so we can reach the handle. Pull the chair all the way over, jump on top of it, and pull down the handle to continue. The next room is much darker and contains a refrigerator. Open the fridge and a gnome will run out. Follow the gnome to a small hole nearby and crawl through another ventilation shaft. Inside the hidden room you will find the second lantern as well as the first gnome to hug. After collecting both, head back and climb up the inside of the refrigerator to reach the next platform. Continue heading to the right until you reach the next room. As soon as we enter, there's a lever we need to pull down, but first let's light lantern number 3 in the bottom right of the room. Now climb up and grab the lever to open the next door. Cross the gap ahead, and when you get to the next room, pull out the wooden board so we can continue into the next area. In this room, falling down is unavoidable. Once you land, be careful of the leeches crawling around. If they catch you, it's game over. Push the door open, jump over the gap, and you will find the 4th lantern. Continue climbing upwards and soon we'll see another gnome running away. Just follow the gnome through the area and up the stairs. In this section we need to turn the crank to open the door ahead. The door only stays open while the crank is turned all the way. So once it's fully open, quickly run back before it closes again. Open the small hatch and a gnome will come running out. Follow the gnome through the hole to the next area. Climb up the hanging sheet hanging out from the bars. At the top we can see the janitor dragging a cage through the background. Once we enter this room, there's another lantern in the top left corner underneath the sink. Go ahead and light it before we continue. In the next room, grab the box of toilet papers and drag it underneath the hanging lever so we can reach it. Pulling this lever shuts off the electricity, allowing us to pass through the electrified bars ahead. Run all the way through before the power comes back on. If you don't make it in time, just head back and try again. You can use the seesaw here to jump onto the dresser and climb back up to the lever room if needed. Once we make it through the bars, continue into the next room. Here we need to avoid the eye. The light cone on the floor shows what it can see, so stay out of the light and hide behind the bed until it passes. After getting through safely, climb onto the boxes to light the next lantern. Now, climb all the way up the cages. Before heading to the upper floor, go right instead and follow the gnome into the hidden room. Inside we can light another lantern and collect our next gnome hug. After hugging the gnome, head back out and climb the cages again. This time, head left along the floor at the top until you reach another room containing our second statue. Pick it up and smash it. Continue into the next room, where several children are sleeping. The janitor will enter the room, so stay completely still and wait for him to leave. Remember, the janitor is blind, but he can still hear and smell you. Once he leaves and close the door, quickly move forward. It's a little difficult to spot, but up in the top left corner is our first candle. Go ahead and light it before you're moving on. Now climb up the cages and the shelves until you reach the small opening leading into the ventilation shaft. Crawl through the vents into the next room. Here, 6 stomachs begin to growl because she's very hungry. When we reach the bars ahead, a friendly figure throws us some food that we need to eat. After eating, continue climbing over the boxes and through the broken bars. Head across the bridge and push down the cage nearby. The bars ahead are still electrified, so we need to climb upwards instead. Climb all the way up the cages to light lantern number 8. From here, jump across to the hanging cages and climb the chain upward. Once we reach the top, we'll find 2 handles. Pull one handle down to raise the cages, then move the second handle towards us before slowly pushing it back to the left. Jump onto the moving platform so it carries us to the next area. Continue climbing upwards and into the next room. Here we need to pull out the drawers to create a path upwards. Pull the bottom drawer all the way out and the second drawer slightly outwards so we can climb. Jump across the drawers and grab onto the one on the right side before climbing over to the lever. Pull the lever to shut off the electricity. From here, jump down and head into the next room, where we need to push the box off the ledge to bring the noose up. Before continuing, we can light the lantern number 9 and free the trapped gnomes. After freeing the gnome, follow him back into the previous room to collect another gnome hawk in the corner. Once that's done, head back and grab onto the hanging noose to ride it down. At the bottom, continue back through the bathroom area and be careful of the leeches again. Now that the power is off, we can finally pass through the bars ahead. In the next room, the eye returns, so quickly hide behind the boxes. Use the rolling cart as cover and slowly stay within the shadow while moving across the room. Once the eye looks away, quickly run forward and escape the area. Cross the bridge ahead, but be careful because the bridge will begin to open beneath us. Quickly run across and jump onto the large box while waiting for it to move over. Once it gets close enough, jump up before the box falls down. Continue into the dark room ahead and simply follow the gnomes through the doorway. And that was the prison. We now enter the lair and begin heading left up the staircase. At the top of the first section of stairs, head into the first room. Inside this room, climb up the chair and onto the desk, where we can light lantern number 10. Now drag the chair over to the mark on the floor, so we can open the door to the next room. Inside, there's a large screen that we can jump up and interact with. Pressing the button shows several strange surveillance images on the screen. If we press it again, we can actually see something that we'll need later in the game. Once we jump down and run around the back of the room, a gnome will run out. Follow the gnome back out towards the staircase and continue up the next flight of stairs. At the top, we can finally catch up to the gnome and collect our 4th gnome hug. Continue climbing upward and crawl through the small opening into the next room. Here we need to drag the suitcase underneath the lever. Jump onto the suitcase and pull down the handle to lower the bed. Now climb onto the bed and up the drawers until we reach the top shelf. Jump across to the shelf on the right, where we will find another statue that we can smash. After collecting the statue, grab the key on the table and throw it down onto the floor. Pick up the key and continue into the next room. In the next room, we can't reach the platform unless we throw the key up first. Throw the key onto the platform, climb up and place it into the lock to open the door. Inside the next room, we'll find a small monkey toy that we need to throw at the elevator button. Once inside the elevator, do the same thing with the button on the left side so the elevator can continue downwards. When the elevator reaches the bottom, head left. Here 6 stomachs begins to hurting again, but we continue moving forward. Once we pass underneath the pipe, we'll find lantern number 11 waiting for us. Light the lantern before continuing into the next room. Inside, there's a cage containing food. 6 is so hungry that we have no choice but to enter the cage to grab the food. We then wake up trapped inside a cage in a different room, while the janitor drags another cage away in the background. To escape the cage, run from side to side until it falls over and breaks open. Once we're free, head left first to light lantern number 12. After lighting it, head back past the cages, grab the small cage nearby and drag it underneath the hanging handle so we can reach it. Once we grab the handle, swing back and forth to build enough momentum to launch yourself through the closing door. After getting through, climb up the now closed door to reach candle number 2. Light the candle before crawling through the next opening. In this room, the carpet keeps our footsteps quiet. As long as we stay on the carpet and move carefully, the janitor won't hear us. Now grab the crank handle and place it into the mechanism. Turn the crank to open the hatch head, but be quick because the noise alerts the janitor. As soon as the hatch opens, quickly jump down before he reaches us. Once we're down, continue crawling through the ventilation shaft and follow the path into the next area. When we enter the next room, there's another lantern here that we can light. Instead of jumping up using the suitcase, head to the staircase at the far end of the room. Climb all the way up and crawl through the opening into the other ventilation shaft. At the end of the vent, we'll find gnome number 5 waiting for another hug. After hugging the gnome, continue forward into the next room filled with piles of shoes. Here we need to move carefully across the suitcases. Jump onto the first suitcase, then walk forward without jumping and grab onto the next one. After that, quickly run and jump towards the third suitcase, then repeat the same thing for the fourth. If you move fast enough here, the creature below won't even get close to catching you. Continue into the next room and carefully keep moving forward until we walk through the doorway. As soon as we enter, start running because the janitor begins chasing us. Slide underneath the pipe and keep running as fast as possible. You can actually move a little faster by jumping while running. Keep sprinting until we make it back into the elevator. Once inside, quickly hide inside the box in the corner. Now we just wait for the janitor to enter and press the button. Inside the elevator, stay completely still and quiet. The janitor can't see us, so as long as we don't move, he won't notice we're hiding inside the box. When the elevator finally stops, 2 gnomes will run past while the janitor chases after them, giving us the chance to escape. Move carefully through the room and push the box away from the loose wooden plank. If the game behaves normally, we can simply stand on the plank and slip underneath. Sometimes this section can be a little glitchy though. What usually helps is grabbing some of the cans around the room and placing them on the planks to add extra weight. Eventually, the planks should lower enough for us to crawl underneath. Once we're below the floorboards, continue forward past the staircase and into the room at the far end. At the end of the room, we'll find statue number 4. Pick it up and smash it before heading back towards the stairs. Once we're back upstairs, grab one of the monkey toys and throw it into the corner to distract the janitor. He follows sound, so while he investigates the noise, carefully move behind all the dolls. Jump onto the dresser, climb across the drawers and make your way upward. You'll need to move fairly quickly because an object falls down while we are climbing, which alerts the janitor. Push the box out of the way so we can enter the ventilation shaft. Continue crawling through the vents until we reach the next room. Once inside, run over and push against the door. The noise alerts the janitor, so quickly move onto the carpet and stay still while grabbing one of the shoes nearby. We need to throw the shoe at the bottom above the door. If you wait a moment before throwing it, the sound of the clock can sometimes keep the janitor distracted a little longer. Otherwise, just run as fast as possible once the door is open. And if the door starts repeatedly slamming shut, don't worry, that's just a common glitch. Simply move through carefully and you should still make it inside. In the next room, head over to the corner to scare out another gnome. Now run back to the pile of books so we can collect gnome hug number 6. After hugging the gnome, climb onto the table and use the books to reach the top shelf. At the top, we can light candle number 3. After lighting the candle number 3, jump onto the piano. If you walk back and forth across the piano keys a few times, you can unlock the achievement called 6th Song. Otherwise, continue to the bookshelf and slowly climb upwards. When we reach the top, wait a moment before climbing over until the janitor moves a little further away. As long as we move slowly behind him, he won't hear or smell us. If we turn on our lighter, he'll immediately notice you. So just carefully sneak behind him and continue into the next room. In here there's several piles of books stacked high enough for us to climb. Once we reach the top, climb onto the next shelf and grab one of the wooden blocks nearby. Throw the block over the edge onto the floor below. The noise distracts the janitor and causes him to investigate the sound. While he's distracted, jump across to the next shelf and head over to candle number 4. After lighting the candle, I usually grab another block and throw it again, just to keep the janitor distracted a little longer before moving on. Now run across the shelves. Drop down onto the next platform and jump onto the table below. Continue to the book stack and climb up through the opening into the next room. Inside, we'll find a television. If we turn it on, it creates a loud noise that attracts the janitor. Quickly grab the crank handle and wait nearby. After a moment, the janitor should enter the room and move towards the television to investigate the sound. Wait until he's fully distracted by the TV before making your escape. Near the table is a small hole that we can crawl through. Once we reach the bookshelf on the other side, place down the crank handle and light candle number 5. Now pick the crank handle back up and continue forward. Crawl through the hole ahead and head over to the crank mechanism. Place the crank into the mechanism and start turning it to raise the piano up to our level. But do it as quickly as possible, because the janitor can hear the crank turning. Once the piano is high enough, jump across onto it. If the piano swings slightly out of position, just wait a moment before jumping across. Over here we can light candle number 6. After lighting the candle, climb through the hole nearby. This leads us to a cart sitting on a set of rails. We need to pull the cart over to the hot steam coming from the pipe in the middle of the room. Once the cart blocks the steam, jump across using the cart to safely reach to the other side. After getting across, drag the cart all the way to the door. Now use it to jump up and grab the handle. When we open the door here, stay towards the left. If you move too far to the right, there's a very good chance you'll fall into the hole below. Continue carefully across the wooden planks and head through the opening into the next room. Climb up the platform and light lantern number 14. Now stand between these two holes and wait. The janitor's arms will suddenly reach out trying to grab us. Once it pulls back, quickly continue forward. When we enter the next room, the janitor bursts through the door behind us. Run as fast as possible and keep jumping to move a little quicker. Slide underneath the closing door and climb onto the cages in the corner. While standing on top of the cage, wait until the janitor's left arm reaches towards you before jumping down. Once you're down, pull one of the metal supports away from the cage and quickly climb back up. Wait again until his arms reaches into the same position as before. Then jump back down and pull away the final support. This causes the cage to collapse and the doors to slam down and trap the janitor's arms. Now climb into the ventilation shaft leading into the next area. And that was the lair. We wake up inside a ventilation shaft at the beginning of the kitchen. Crawl through the vent and climb up the stairs to reach the next area. Up ahead there are butcher hooks hanging from a rail near the ceiling that we need to grab onto. Jump up and hold onto the hook as it slowly carries us across the massive gap. In the background we can already spot one of the twin shafts working in the kitchen. Eventually we drop down onto a pile of wrapped meat below. After landing, Six becomes extremely hungry once again. Continue forward until we reach a rat caught in a rat trap. To survive, we have no choice but to eat the rat. Once 6 has eaten, we can continue moving again. Now climb up using the containers filled with wrapped meat. Jump across the gap ahead and push down the metal hatch nearby. This creates a ramp leading up to the next area. Underneath another ramp, there's a small opening leading into another ventilation shaft. Inside this hidden room, we can collect statue number 5. Pick it up and smash it before climbing back upstairs into the previous room. Now head through the swinging door into the next area. Here we need to push the cart all the way to the right side of the room. Climb onto the top of it so we can enter the pantry above. Inside the pantry we can also unlock an achievement. Grab the carrot and quickly run past the first twin chef. Slide underneath the table and continue into the next room. Once inside, quickly hide underneath the table. This table acts as a safe spot where the chef can't reach us. When the chef walks over towards the pot in the back of the room, quickly run over and throw the carrot in the pot. If you want to play it safe, you can always run back underneath the table afterwards. Next, grab the fish head hiding underneath the table and throw that into the pot as well. After that, we need to collect the cheese sitting on top of the boxes near the wine bottles. Throw the cheese into the pot too. Once all 3 ingredients are inside the pot, we unlock the achievement called Kitchen Hand. If you don't care about the achievement, you can simply run straight through the area instead. Slide underneath the first table and move carefully past the first chef, just like we did earlier. Then continue directly into the next kitchen. Here you can actually sprint straight through the entire room if you want. Keep moving underneath the table and continue up the staircase. Climb onto the cabinet nearby. Once we are on the top of the cabinet, we can light lantern number 15. After lighting it, jump across onto the roof support above. Now continue all the way across the beams towards the far end of the room. Climb up the cages at the end, crawl through the opening at the top. This brings us into the bathroom. Jump across the toilet onto the shelf and light candle number 7. After lighting the candle, continue down the hall until we reach a bedroom. Jump onto the shelf above the radiator and jump up and grab the key. Swinging back and forth until the key falls onto the floor below. As soon as the key drops, quickly hide underneath the bed. This causes the second chef to wake up and slowly walk out of the room. Once he leaves, grab the key and carefully head back into the hallway. You may have noticed earlier that a gnome ran out when we entered the room. That gnome is hiding inside the bathroom nearby. Head inside and collect gnome hug number 7 waiting in the corner. After hugging the gnome, head back, grab the key and return to the elevator. Pull the handle to call the elevator and make sure to pick the key back up before stepping inside. The elevator takes us back down near the pantry. You may have noticed earlier that another gnome ran into the pantry. That gnome is hiding inside the small jar nearby. Break the jar and collect the gnome hug number 8. As soon as you hug the gnome, quickly hide underneath the shelves. One of the chefs heard the jar breaking and comes in to investigate the noise. Wait underneath the shelves until it's safe to move again. Then grab the key and run back through both kitchens. Just follow the same route we used earlier while escaping through the kitchen. We'll use the key on the locked door at the far end of the second kitchen. Unlock the door and push it open. Inside the next room, climb onto the table, jump onto the box and crawl through the hole in the wall. When we enter this room, climb up into the small service elevator. It takes us up into the cold storage. Here we need to place 3 pieces of meat into the trapdoor in the middle of the room. The first piece is already lying on the ground. The second one can be found on top of the table nearby. For the third piece, climb onto the cabinet, jump across to the hanging meat hook and swing over to the final ham. When we grab it, the meat falls down so we can drag it back over to the trapdoor. Once all 3 pieces are in place, crawl through the hole in the wall on the right side of the room. Inside this hidden room, we can light another lantern and collect another statue. After collecting both, head back out and return to the service elevator. The elevator takes us back down into the previous room. Before climbing up to the meat grinder, crawl underneath the table. Under here, we can find gnome hug number 9. After hugging the gnome, climb onto the table and pull the handle to drop down the meat into the grinder. Now keep turning the machine until the sausage begins to come out at the top. Once 3 sausages has dropped down, we're finished here. Jump across using the hanging sausage and swing over to the opening on the other side. Continue crawling through the ventilation shafts ahead. When we exit the vent, we enter another freezer. Run all the way to the right side and pull the handle beside the elevator. As soon as we pull the handle, quickly run back and hide inside the box nearby. This lets us safely hide from the chef while he investigates the noise. Wait until the chef walks past the box before carefully sneaking out and into the elevator. As soon as we enter the elevator, the chef hears it moving and immediately starts chasing after us. Once we reach the top, quickly climb into the small ventilation shaft nearby and hide inside. After the chef arrives upstairs, he opens the path into the next room for us. In the next room, the chef is busy cutting up a massive piece of meat. Jump onto the table in the far right corner and climb across the boxes and barrels. At the very top shelf, we can light candle number 8. After lighting the candle, carefully climb all the way back down to the floor. Now crawl underneath the shelves and continue to the other side of the room. Jump onto the small table and crawl through the opening nearby. In this room, we'll find another grinder that we need to turn on. As soon as we activate it, quickly crawl back through the hole because the chef comes running towards the noise. Run back onto the table where the chef was cutting the meat earlier. There's a key lying on the table that we need to grab. Once we have the key, quickly run back towards the elevator. When the chef hears the elevator moving again, he immediately rides it down after us. That means we need to move quickly to the locked door nearby and use the key before he catches up. After getting through the door, immediately hide because the chef starts searching for us again once he comes down the elevator. Luckily, he still can't find us and eventually moves away. Now climb back onto our hiding spot and pull down the hatch leading into the garbage chute. Jump back up and jump down into the chute together with all the trash. Once we land at the bottom, run all the way to the left side of the room. Over here we can collect statue number 7. After smashing the statue, climb up into the ventilation shaft nearby. Carefully crawl forward until we reach the second opening in the vent. We try to climb up through the opening and make our way over to the shelf filled with pans and plates. Climb all the way up and jump across onto the shelf nearby while waiting for one of the meat hooks to pass by. When the hook gets close enough, jump up and grab onto it. Hold on as it carries us across the kitchen until we reach the next shelf. Over here we can light lantern number 17. After lighting it, jump back down onto the kitchen and carefully climb back into the hole below. Once we're back underneath the floor, continue towards the right side and climb up through the next opening. One of the chefs is standing here washing dishes. It's completely fine if the chef spots us for a moment. Quickly move all the way into the room on the far side. If the chef saw you, simply wait for them to walk in and leave again. If not, immediately climb up and pull the handle that changes the direction of the meat hooks overhead. After pulling the handle, quickly hide underneath the table. If you move fast enough, you can sneak underneath the sink before the chef notices you. Now continue over to the middle sink where there's a large stack of plates. Climb up the plates and jump onto the moving meat hook near the ceiling. Hold on to the hook as it carries us through the next few rooms. When we reach the final room, try to land on the last stack of plate crates. As soon as you land, quickly run underneath the table and try to time your next jump with another passing meat hook. Jump onto the crate, then onto the next one and grab onto the hook overhead. Now simply hold on until it carries us up and eventually drops us off. And that was the kitchen. We exit the ventilation shaft and enter the area connecting the kitchen to the guest area. Before continuing, crawl back through the small opening nearby. Inside we can light lantern number 18. We can also collect the gnome hug number 10 hiding in the corner. After collecting both, crawl back out through the opening. Carefully make your way across the large pipe ahead. On the other side, climb up the massive staircase ahead. At the top, continue through the large pipe leading outside the mall. Now climb all the way up the exterior structure. Once we reach the top, run across the ventilation shaft ahead. Follow it all the way forward until we finally reach the guest area. We enter the guest area through the opening ahead. Before we can continue, we need to pull away the wooden board covering the pipe. Once it's out of the way, crawl through the pipe and out onto the hanging pipe outside. Carefully make your way across above the entrance to the guest area. In the background, we can see the lady watching the guests as they arrive aboard the mall. Continue through the opening ahead and jump onto the hanging lamp. Use the lamps to make your way across the gap. After crossing the third lamp, jump over onto the balcony nearby. Quickly run through the doors and into the dining hall. Continue straight ahead into the next room. Here, one of the guests spots us and tries to grab us. Just keep running and he won't be able to catch us. Climb up into the next area where the guest can no longer reach us. Jump onto the chair and then climb up the stack of plate. From the top, jump onto the hanging lamp, swing back and forth until we reach the small ledge ahead. Once across, run all the way to the right. Up ahead, we can spot a gnome running into a small room, push the chair over and crawl through the opening. Inside, we can collect gnome hug number 11. We can also light lantern number 19. After collecting both, crawl back out through the opening. Climb onto the chair in front of the table, then jump up onto the table itself. Continue across the table to light candle number 9. Be careful not to let the guests grab you. After lighting the candle, continue across the table. At the far left end, climb all the way up the wall. When we reach the top, jump across onto the small hanging table ahead. Continue to the right and jump over the railing into the next area. As soon as we enter, all of the guests spots us. Quickly run through the doorway ahead before they can grab us. Jump onto the hanging lamp and use it to escape. Swing across to the next area and continue running. When the final guest spots us, quickly run back the way we came. As he tries to follow us, he gets stuck underneath the shelf. Use the opportunity to climb onto the shelf and jump over to the other side. Keep moving and jump whenever possible to get a little extra speed. Slide through the opening ahead and crawl through the bars. This brings us into the living area. Run straight through the room. As Chef arrived through the elevator, so quickly hide inside the box in the bathroom. Wait for the chef to run past and leave the area. Once he's gone, grab the can that fell from the shelf, throw it at the mirror to shatter it. Now climb through the opening and start climbing the bars ahead. At the top, make your way out onto the pipe above the hall and the bathroom below. Follow the pipes all the way to the far end. Here we can collect statue number 8. After smashing the statue, head back and enter the elevator. The elevator takes us back up to the guest area. Once we arrive, enter the room on the right. Inside we can collect gnome hug number 12. At the far end of the room, we can also light lantern number 20. After collecting both, get ready because the next section moves quickly. Run forward as fast as you can. Guest begins pouring out of the doors ahead, so don't stop moving. Jump whenever possible to gain a little extra speed. Continue through the next room and the one after that. Slide underneath the table and keep going. After passing through the doorway ahead, immediately turn right, run down the stairs and turn left. Continue forward until a dresser falls across the path. Jump over the dresser and climb onto the table. Keep running as fast as you can. At the end of the table, jump up and grab onto the hanging lamp. The lamp swings us across to the next area. Before moving on, we can light lantern number 21. This is the final lantern in the game. After lighting it, head through the doorway ahead. Once inside, 6 becomes hungry once again. Just like before, we have no choice but to keep moving. Continue to the right and enter the next room. Here, a gnome approaches us and offers us a sausage. But instead of eating the sausage, 6 chooses to eat the gnome. This also gives us gnome hug number 13. With that, we have collected every gnome in the game. Afterwards, climb onto the box nearby and continue into the next room. From here, simply keep moving to the right. Eventually, we reach a staircase leading upwards. At the top of the stairs, we catch a glimpse of the lady entering an elevator. Before following her, head to the left side of the room. Over here, we can collect statue number 9. After smashing the statue, return to the elevator. To call it back down, we need something to throw at the button above. Pick up a vase nearby and throw it at the elevator button. Once the elevator arrives, step inside, and that marks the end of the guest area. We arrived in the ladies' quarters aboard the elevator. Quickly head to the right and continue towards the staircase ahead. Climb all the way to the top floor. At the top, enter the room ahead. Inside, we find the lady standing in front of a broken mirror. Carefully sneak behind her so she doesn't notice us. Continue into her bedroom. Run to the dresser with the vase sitting on top. Push the vase onto the floor. Inside the broken vase, we can find a key. Pick up the key and head back into the previous room. The lady has now disappeared. She also left behind the final statue in the game. Climb onto the table and smash statue number 10. And with that, we've collected every statue in the game. We've also collected every lantern, candle and gnome. Now head back downstairs with the key. At the bottom, unlock the door nearby and step inside. This brings us into a very dark room. As we move forward, we suddenly notice the lady following us. Quickly crawl underneath the furniture ahead and continue into the next room. Over here, climb up the staircase. At the top, we enter a room filled with mannequins. Continue all the way to the right side. Pull the wooden board out of the way. This allows us to enter the final room. Inside we find the mysterious mirror we saw earlier in the game. Pick up the mirror and carry it back into the mannequin room. Move into the center of the first beam of light. When the lady approaches, point the mirror directly at her. The light reflected by the mirror forces her back. Each time this happens, 6 drops the mirror, so make sure to pick it up before moving on. Carry the mirror into the next beam of light. When the lady appears again, point the mirror towards her once more. After forcing her back, pick up the mirror and continue forward. In the third beam of light, do the same thing again. Keep moving from one beam of light to the next. The lady starts moving around us more aggressively, but eventually she always moves close enough for the mirror to affect her. Each time she attacks, point the mirror directly at her, then pick it up and continue forward. In the final beam of light, keep reflecting the light back at her. After the final attack, the lady is finally defeated. When we regain control, we can see her lying motionless on the floor. Just then, 6 becomes hungry one last time. She slowly walks over to the lady and takes a bite from her neck. And that marks the end of the lady quarters. After consuming the lady, 6 gains her mysterious powers. As we make our way through the final hallway, the guest can no longer stop us. Anyone who gets too close has their life force drained away. Continue towards the exit at the far end. step through the final doorway and leave them all behind. And with that, Little Nightmares comes to an end.